Good morning and welcome to today's Q&A call. This is Tina. I am your hostess. If there is anything that I can help you with, please let me know in the chat box what you're having problems with, what I can help you with. So again, welcome to our Q&A call. If you did come because you're having concerns or problems, please drop it in the chat box, and I would be happy to assist you as soon as we get some chat down in the chat box. As you can see, I have opened the call up with the new advice engine. If you have not worked in the new advice engine, please jump in there. If you log into Mortgage Coach, you will see down at the bottom after you log in, there is a spot that says go to new advice engine. So I'm going to jump into there. So still waiting to see if anyone on here has a question, concern that I can help with. So right down here, there is that new advice engine that you can click onto that'll take you right into that new advice engine. I'm going to leave that one, come back over to here. So we only have a few of you on the call, just checking in. Do you have any problems? Is there anything that you're working on that you need a little bit more assistance? I know that I've been getting a lot more questions concerning refinances. So if you do have questions on refinance, you want me to go through a refinance scenario, raise your hand for me. And we can go through a refinance scenario. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to go ahead and lower the hands down. So I'm going to go in with the new advice engine. Most of you should have strategy templates. If you built in strategy templates before and you do not see your strategy template tabbed here, it simply means that they're not labeled as a strategy template yet. It's super easy to change something to a strategy template. All you do is click into there, put a double asterisk in front, and then that's going to let our system know that that is your strategy template. So once I go ahead and click off of here, it would then be placed in my strategy template bucket. I'm going to go into strategy templates. You may already have in your strategy templates a refinance scenario to refi into a 30-year, 15-year, or cash out. If you do have that, I always suggest starting with that strategy template. If you don't have that strategy template in there, you can start with new client. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and create a client out. So I'm giving the client name. Remember to add that phone number. That phone number is important because it becomes a hot link when you get that notification that says, hey, Rob looked at this presentation for 47 minutes at 10:42. Here's Rob's phone number, so you don't have to go back and waste time looking it up in your CRM. You just touch it, it's a hot link. Client versus prospect. Have you pulled credit or not? If you pulled credit, client. If not, prospect. It's a search engine help. So it allows you to go into that search engine to be able to pull out that. And that's why I suggest pulling credit or not, because we kind of work those pipelines a little bit different. Rent versus own. If they did rent, I could place that in there. Today we're doing a refinance to start with. So I'm going to put in refinance. And then if I was doing, let's say, a client who had several different properties, I would go ahead and put that property address and then the year as well. So I could come back and easily identify exactly which presentation this is. Clicking on that next button, filling in that property street address. This does come in on there. So we do want to make sure that the client can relate to it as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then I'm going to scroll down. The top information and the bottom information is solely for you. So if you don't have a CRM and you don't want to, or you can't drop money on it right now, that's okay. You can still fill in your mortgage coach information and you can keep your clients in here. I'm going to click on that next button. Now, what do I want to do? The top 3 scenarios and the bottom 3 scenarios all relate to a refinance. I'm just going to click on Other because this is the easiest one for me to click on. It's really fast for me to just go in there. Moving through to the next screen, the only thing I'm concerned about on this screen is that current property value. What is the property going to appraise at today? So I'm going to say my property is going to appraise at $350. Now I can move on to that next tab. Now I'm going to place in my current mortgage information. So if I did have a FHA or VA, any of these that had a upfront premium where they might be getting a little premium back, I could place that in there. We do not calculate how much premium they're getting back, but it does allow us to be able to trigger some things in there. First payment date, remember clicking the arrow allows you to go directly to the calendar if you want the calendar, or you can just type in the actual date. So we're going to type in a date here. We're going to say 2001. How much was the original loan amount? This is not the appraisal value. This is not the original appraisal value. This is how much the actual loan was when they originally got it. So I'm going to say the original loan was $201,100, and originally their interest rate was 4.75. The term, I'm going to say it was a 360. It was a normal 30-year fixed, and you'll see that remaining balance automatically populates for me based on this original loan amount and normal amortization schedule payments, how much is going to go towards principal, reducing that principal amount. So now we're down to 117. Fixed loan, ARM loan, you can adjust that, and then you should see your P&I payment should match at the bottom here. I'm going to move to the next screen. On the next screen, if they do have HOA dues, let's say this one does, 108. Hazard insurance, you want to put the actual number here, not a percentage for both the hazard insurance and property tax. Because when you place that new appraisal value in, it could trigger it to change them based on the interest rate or based on the rate that you put in there. Now, Other, this is a great field here. Let's say they're paying off credit cards. I can put my credit card payment and I can put whatever that total monthly. I'm going to say they're paying off $700 in credit cards every single month. What this is going to allow me to do is see what that top end debt to income ratio is. So then when I come in and I remove it and I'm rolling them back maybe to a 30-year, I'll be able to talk to them about that debt to income ratio and how it's improving them based on their monthly payments. Now, what I cannot show them, we're not set up to actually put the credit cards in. There's a little cheat that I can show you, but we can't calculate credit card interest. That is on our, hopefully, our to-dos for 2019 before the end of the year. We got a lot going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 700 here. If they did have MI, I could put the MI information, the percent cutoff, the MI month. And then if they have a second loan, maybe you want to combine that first and second. Clicking on this is just going to open it up so you can put all the information in for the second loan. I'm going to go ahead and click back and take that second loan off. I'm only going to worry about their gross income here because I want to see that debt to income ratio. So I'm going to put 80,000. If there's any debt that I did not include in that credit card assumption, maybe they have a car payment or something else, I can put that monthly debt in. And that way I'm seeing the real debt to income ratio. I'm not going to worry about anything else here. Now, when I do a refinance, in many cases, if you're lowering the interest rate and you have the same loan amount, the client is not going to see a benefit in the tax benefit. So When I'm doing a refinance, I never include my actual tax information to show the tax benefit. I know I had someone come to me the other day asking me about that tax benefit and being a little concerned about it, but just don't show it. It makes so much better sense not to show it. We're not hiding anything. They already know if they're getting a tax benefit or not, and it's not going to change very much. It's relatively just a few dollars. Affordability, I'm not worried about. They're already in the home. Now I'm going to go to my products. Let's say I want to do a 30-year fixed. If I have product templates, I'm using those product templates. They're in here because they speed you up. If you have product templates, yours will be at the top. If you have one that says B, this is a branch level product template. And if you have ones that say E, this is an enterprise level template. The enterprise level templates in most cases do not have your actual closing cost in them. So I suggest not using them. The branch level should have your closing cost in there. So these are probably really great ones to use. And then of course your own are set up however you chose to set them up. I'm not going to use one. I'm just going to go through and do it from scratch just so you can see. So is this a refinance? The very first thing we're going to do is we are going to copy it from the current loan. This is going to allow us to pull over some information. It's going to pull over the hazard insurance, property tax, all of that information. So we're going to click on OK. Now we have that basic 2 identical loans. Now we're going to click on, is this a refinance? Yes, it is. If they are doing cash out for renovation, you can click here. Here's where the tax benefit, the only time it's going to be a benefit. If they're taking cash out to do a renovation or do some fixing to the home, that money is now tax deductible. If that money is used for any other reason, to pay off credit cards or anything else, it is not tax deductible. So again, it's not going to be a benefit for them. We have our property value, our equity, our base loan amount. We're going to adjust our interest rate to whatever today's interest rate is. I'm going to say 4.75. Now, remember I put that $700 of debt, credit card debt in there. I'm going to say that is for $30,000 in actual loan amount. So what I'm going to do is increase my base loan amount by that $30,000. So, and this always messes me up a little bit. I don't remember if that's right or not. I'm gonna cheat and start all over. Copy from current, and I'm just gonna memorize it. Yes, it's a refi. There we go. So now I have my new loan base amount. I'm going to, again, put my interest rate wherever it would be. Yay for the Feds yesterday. We do see that there was a dip in interest rates for most companies. Some companies, depending on when they regulated their interest rate, they might not have seen it. So then I'm going to click on my next. Now I'm going to add my closing cost. My closing cost details. I'm going to choose whichever closing cost best suits. I'm just going to pick this one just because I think it has all the fees in there. There we go. Now I'm going to add a fee if I don't want to show that money coming back. So if you're giving money back to the client and they're paying the credit cards off on their own, you're not going to do this. But if you want to not show, maybe that payoff of the credit card is handled in escrow, they're never going to see the money. Add a fee. And I already have it in there. I'm going to show you actually. I'm going to go in. Add a custom fee. Credit cards. You can add in the name of the credit card. Maybe you want to show actually paying off the Discover, the Visa, the American Express separately. You can add in the actual name of the credit card, but you always want to check that it is a prepaid, a default prepaid. It's handled during that escrow period, and we don't want it to impact their short-term savings window. So always make sure that this is checked, and then you would click on OK. I already have it in there, so I'm now that I've added it once, it is in there, and all I have to do is go here, type in my C, and I should see down here, I have a bunch of them because just from showing samples, credit card debt. Now I'm going to add a negative amount, negative 30,000. So that money's going to be in there. It's going to be paid off, but it's going to go into, subtract it from there. So the money that's going to come back to the borrowers is reduced. The next thing I'm going to do is apply this to the loan. Now we are going to come back to this window, but first we want to make sure we add our reserve months before we do. Prepaid days of interest, I'm going to do the 15, clicking on my next button. Hazard insurance, HOA dues, all of that's already in there. I'm going to remove this credit card debt, and I'm going to add in whatever my hazard insurance and my tax reserve months would be. Now I'm going to go back over here into my closing cost details. And at the bottom of my closing cost details, there's the little add all fees to loan. I want to click it. Now I'm going to apply to the loan. So now we should be showing 0 coming back, clicking on that next button, and clicking on add another product. Let's say our next product is a 15-year fix. I am going to copy it from my 30-year fix because I already just spent that time going in, fixing up that 30-year the way I want it, and click on OK. All I'm going to do is adjust it. So I'm going to say it's going to be 3.675, and it's going to be 180 months. That's all I need to do. Everything else is all taken care of. So I can go through. I always like to verify everything is all stuck, everything looks good. And maybe I'm going to add a third product. Let's add a third product that is that 30-year fix without or with the credit cards. So what if they were just to roll back into a 30-year? Is it going to be more beneficial to roll that $30,000 in or not? I'm going to copy it from my 30-year. And normally I would build this one first and then I would remove a few things. So we're going to go in here and we're going to adjust it. So I'm going to bring it back to the basic. Interest rate might be a little lower because now we're not doing cash out. I'm going to take that credit card back out of my payments here. Just deleting that out and applying to the loan. And I'm going to add that $700 payment back over here. So any questions or any other scenario, I have room for one more scenario that you would like to see me do. So you can drop it into the chat box if there's something you want to see. Or raise your hand. It's a small enough group that I can, if you have audio, I can go ahead and pull you over. Looks like we're all good. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, clicking on that next button. Property appreciation, short-term, long-term, you want to set that up for the client, whatever those would be based on their financial goals. Monthly savings benchmark is set on the current for both of them. That's what I want to see. And more likely, I'm going to show net worth here. Now, the one thing about showing net worth is, remember, I pulled out that extra $70,000. So that net worth is going to be less on that 30 years, but what do they not have? They do not have that $30,000 in credit card debt anymore on this one or on this one. Now we're going to go ahead and click that next button. If I decided not to show one of these, I simply uncheck it and it makes it so it doesn't populate onto the screen. I have not looked in there, James, but let me see. And that would actually be, if it's not in there, a great opportunity for us to build in a new search parameter. So scrolling to the bottom, and I'll go through that after I look on here, clicking on next. I can go through all of these, or I can come to the side, click on preview, where I can add in my quote date. I want to make sure that notify me when it's viewed as checked. And then I can click on preview or generate link. Remember, if you're doing videos, click on that generate link. You'll go into the videos really quickly. I'm just going to click on preview so we can go a little bit through the screens, talk about what's going on. I like this view, so I'm going to switch the view over to side by side. So, and I did something wrong with the cash to close because it's not populating up there. And this one, now if you see this small amount, this is more likely the prepaid days of interest is not checked. So if you do see a small amount in there, it's normally that prepaid days of interest that ended up not getting checked. And so that will go away. But now we're showing getting back about 30,000. Again, that prepaid days of interest is not checked on those products either. So I would want to check those. Okay, now it should be 30,000 for each of them because I pulled that 30,000 in. So once you go through here, remember, here's a couple of things. First of all, savings over 60 months. There's enough of an interest savings that they are seeing that savings happen. And that's why is because it lowered that down. Let's go in and we're just going to remove that credit card because I don't think it's calculating right. They might have changed the system on this one and added a credit card debt that I was unaware of. So I'm just going to see if they did add a credit card fee. If they add a fee in there, you don't have to add that fee in there or put a negative. So I'm thinking that they added a credit card fee. And I happen to choose the one that they added. Oh. Now remember, when you are doing this, in order for it to show, you do need to advance the screen. And it should populate in there. Actually, it's not recognizing the negative on mine. Now remember, I'm in a dev, so test that out, see what's going on. I'm going to have our dev team test it. But right now, let's just go ahead and leave it there. They're getting $30,000 cash back to pay off that debt. So now when I go in here, the more information, I can go in the closing cost. Remember, all the closing costs are in here. The fee details are all broke down, itemized. This is driving. I'm just going to remove the fee just so we can make sure that it is correct. And I'll come back to you guys next week to make sure that I have tested it and that it is all good on that fee. Okay, so on here, the monthly payment difference, remember, this is always going to show the current as benchmarked. If it's in blue, it is a savings. If it is in red, it means that they have to bring more money to the table. Savings over 60 months now is going to be benchmarked different. It is benchmarked on which one is the most expensive. What's the most costly, and then it's the savings. Remember, this is the unrecoverable cost. So how much are they saving based on the true cost of the loan, interest, if there are MIs on there, Closing cost fees, this is what's taken into consideration here. And then the net worth over 15 years, you'll be able to see based on that. Now remember, we have that $30,000 that's being taken into consideration. So we're paying off that $30,000 in debt. So this 15-year would actually be a really great choice for my clients to be able to have them save that extra money every month and dump it into their home and still have extra money back in their pocket. So any questions on this scenario? And while we're doing that, I'm going to go in and see what our search parameters are. So to go back home, I just clicked on the Mortgage Coach button. Let's see if we can search by interest rate. We cannot search by interest rate. But James, send that over to ideas@mortgagecoach.com to be placed in the search parameter. I especially think right now with the market, it'll be beneficial, and we know that it's a roller coaster, so it would be a great add to the search engine if they could do that. Okay, anyone else have another question or another topic that you would like for me to discuss? So open platform, anything that you need, drop it in the chat box or raise your hand if you have audio, either one. Rent versus own, absolutely. So let's go in to our new client on rent versus own. And we're gonna call this Nancy. Remember that phone number, add in a phone number here, and then just toggle it to rent. And I'm gonna place in the presentation name, rent versus own, and click the next button. Property street address. This is something I like doing on any of them that don't have a street address yet, your new home. Add in the city, the state, the zip code here. Again, top section and bottom section. If you don't have a CRM, fill them in. Use Mortgage Coaches, your CRM. If you do have one, don't waste your time unless you really want to have it in both places. Rent versus own is going to be the get my first home. On assumptions, you're going to start placing in the information on current rent. So let's say they paid $900 for rent. I'm going to say that their rents, annual rent increase for the area that they're in is 6%. We are seeing huge rent increase amounts. So make sure you look up the county that the home is in and place that rent increase amount there. Now, rental insurance. You want to make sure that if they are paying it, that it's included on here. And the reason why is as soon as they're not renting and they're buying, this is going to be their hazard insurance. It's going to be replaced. So it's still a cost for them while they're renting. And then other rental expenses. This is, do they rent a carport? Do they rent a washer and dryer, refrigerator? Any other thing that is costing them money that they will no longer pay once they're no longer living there, you want to make sure it is included because that payment's going to be taken out and they're going to free that money up. Now, I am going to place standard deduction. We're going to talk about this. So let's place the standard deduction to start off with of a single person. If you are unsure of standard deductions, the little icon up here, clicking on that icon, we have the cheat sheet. So you can go in here. After you use it a few times, you won't need it anymore. Here's a little note on how the tax benefit is collected. If you do want to know what that tax benefit, how it's calculated, click on there. If you're concerned about DTI, you can fill out the top section. If you're concerned about do they have enough reserves, fill out the savings information or where they're going to pull those reserves from. In closing costs, tax bracket. I'm going to say they have 33% tax bracket and that they are a single person. If you do use the MCC credit, put the total maximum percentage they can do and place in that tax credit. If you want a copy of this video, please email me, tina@mortgagecoach.com, because I will not remember, to be honest. But the emails I'll go through and I will send it to you after it's uploaded to YouTube. Click the next button. If you need information or a place to house this information, you can place it in here. Again, nothing in here has a red required field in here. And we're going to go to our first one. So our first product is going to be a 30-year fix. Actually, let's do, since it's rent versus own, let's do an FHA. So again, if you have this templates, pull from the FHA templates. Email is tina@mortgagecoach.com. I'm going to go ahead and place my upfront MI, FHA. I'm going to say my purchase price, and I'm going to use this amount just so I do show a tax benefit, $360. They are putting that 3.5% down, and our interest rate is 4.125. It is a 360 month. Now, just in case you've ever missed it, these little red indicators, that means this is a required field. If you only want to have a basic total cost analysis, these are the minimum required in order for you to be able to place that in. If you did apply the MCC credit or you put the information in, click the little button here. I'm going to click that next button, add in my closing cost. Remember, templates are your best friend. I'm going to just do an FHA purchase. Scroll through, I would make sure everything's added. I would add my lender's title and my owner's title if it's not filled in, and applying it to the template. I am in the Advice Engine platform. So yes, and if you want to go to the Advice Engine platform, when you log into Mortgage Coach, there's a little tab that's down here at the bottom that says Try New Advice Engine. Highly suggest going in there and trying it out. I'm then going to scroll down. I have my APR, my non-APR. I'm going to add my prepaid days of interest. My upfront MI is down here. I'm going to toggle it so I'm at the interest or at the percentage and add my 1.75. And I like adding that to the front of the loan. If it is a blue box, that means it's added. If it's a white box, that means you have not added it. Clicking on the next screen, adding in hazard insurance and property tax. Because we don't have a property, I'm going to do it based on percentages. Remember, it is only an estimate until you're in contract. Property tax deductible, if you are showing that tax benefit, and it is, check that box. Now I'm going to add my mortgage insurance, 0.85, my minimum cutoff month. That's the only one I have to add. And then hazard insurance, 2 months plus 12, so a total of 14. And I'm going to say 3 for my tax. Now I'm going to add a second product. Before I do that, any questions on that FHA product? Looks good. Let's add another product. I'm going to do a 5% down. I'm going to copy it from my FHA because more likely I don't have a ton of differences between my FHA and my conventional loan, and click on OK. I am going to remove my upfront premium unless I'm doing upfront, a single paid upfront premium for my 5%. And then I'm going to leave it, or I'm going to place it on single premium. I'm going to click none. I'm going to, oops, and I see I did wrong there. I didn't toggle it. I'm going to change this to 5%, and I'm going to go back and fix my 3.5%. Because I put 3.5, I didn't toggle the button. And you can see I'm using that little file up here to go back and forth to quickly go from one screen to another. So now I have my purchase, my down payment of 5%. I'm going to change it. I'm going to say it's 4.25. It's a fixed loan. I'm going to move to the next screen. Let's say my FHA and my conventional are different fees. I can come in here and just quickly toggle it over to my conventional fees. So I can quickly just add my 30-year conventional, whatever they are, place them in there. Again, filling in anything that's left zero. This is actually used as a percentage. My prepaid days of interest will stay the same. My hazard insurance property tax will stay the same, but my mortgage insurance will not. Now my mortgage insurance would adjust to whatever the conventional loan is. I now have a cutoff of 78%. I am not calculating MI on balance. That is only for government loans, and that's because government loans calculate MI based on the balance of the end of each month, where conventional loans calculate MI based on the balance at the end of the year. So it's once a month versus 12 times a month. I'm going to change this to 120. Most conventional loans, 120 months is what it is. Everything else would remain the same. Is there another product or MI option you would like to see me build as another option? I'm just giving everyone an opportunity to type in if there is. Financed MI Premium. Okay, Financed MI Premium. Let's go ahead and add another product. I am going to do 5% with Financed MI. So this is going to be a single MI payment, but we're going to finance it in the loan. Super easy. First thing I'm going to do is copy it from my 5% down and click on OK. Once that's in there, I'm going to add my upfront premium, single premium added. Let's say everything on this loan stays the same. The only difference is paying monthly versus having it financed in the loan. I'm going to click on my next button. My MI option is going to open up at the bottom. Whatever, I'm going to say 0.9 is my MI. All I want to do to make sure it's financed is add that box. It has to be blue because then it's added to the loan amount. If it's white, it's not added to the loan amount. And then I'm going to remove my monthly MI. So deleting that out, this can go back to 0, this can go back to 0, and now I have my financed option. Any other questions, concerned? Anyone want to see, raise your hand if you want to see split MI. It's a little different, not a lot. I just add that upfront single premium, finance it. Okay, we're going to do that split MI too. So we're going to add another product, 30-year with split. Again, copying it from the one that's it's gonna be most like. I'm gonna copy it from my financed, so I don't have to add that financed and make sure that's checked again. I just need to change how much it is. So now when I scroll down, it will all stay the same unless the interest rate changes. Clicking on my next button, I'm gonna scroll down here to the bottom, adjust whatever the new amount's gonna be. Clicking on next, now I'm going to add my mortgage insurance back. So I'm going to put whatever the monthly calculation is, the 78 back in here and the 120. So now I have that financed in there and I have the monthly in there. Now, if you don't want to add that financed amount to the loan amount, if they can afford it, you can take it out by just unchecking the little box. Remember, white means it's not added to the loan, and the blue means it's added to the loan on that MI option. We're going to click on next. I would adjust this based on my client. I'm going to go ahead and just place 10 in here. Now here is where it comes into play. Short-term chart, rent versus principal paid. If you are not showing a tax benefit, always show the rent versus principal paid. If you are showing a tax benefit, you will choose and you'll find what you like better, rent versus tax benefit, or tax benefit analysis. And I personally like tax benefit analysis, and I'm going to show you why. Next one is the long-term type, total principal paid, net worth, or interest in MI. I am going to show net worth on this one. And it's simply because there's no net worth of renting, and it's very clear when they look at this that they're going to have some money in their pocket now when it comes to your net worth or your long-term time frame. So now I can go ahead and click on my next button if there's anything else I need to do, or I can go all the way down here and just click right on preview, add my quote date in, and click on that preview button. So this actually is going to be a really great presentation with those MI options compared to FHA. So we have, oh, current is not showing our rent. I need to go back and make sure rent versus own is chosen. So I didn't choose that rent versus own back here. Make sure that that's chosen, and that's going to allow us to see that rent versus own. So now we can see rent here. Now here's the main difference between a total cost analysis versus the rent versus own. The total cost analysis shows the total payment here and the total payment in this upper right-hand corner. The rent versus own does not show that. The rent versus own shows the total payment, and then it shows the net monthly payment up here in the right-hand corner. You might ask, why would you do that? The reason why is we want to really show the true cost of owning a home every month for your client. Because when they own a home, they're going to actually see some money back into their pocket. They're going to be able to see, you know, equity come back into the pocket and possibly the tax benefit. So what it is it's the total payment less the tax benefit, less the principal paid, because this money is going towards equity. And that's where we get that net monthly payment. So anyone want me to go through net monthly payment again for this upper right-hand window? If you do, you can simply raise your hand. Okay, we're going to go through it one more time. So in this window, the total payment, net monthly payment, is simply total payment less tax benefit less the principal paid, because that is money going back into your pocket. So it's the true cost of owning a home that you are going to pay every single month, and that is where you will see this net monthly payment. So if we look at rent, they have a tax benefit. And you might say, what is that tax benefit? It's that large standard deduction. That's their tax benefit. Whether they own, they don't own, they're still getting that $12,000 standard deduction that's going to happen. So that's subtracted from their rent to get their net monthly payment. How much money is really costing them to rent? On the FHA, here's their total payment. But we're going to take away the tax benefit because, again, that's coming back at the end of their pocket at the end of the year. And we're going to take away principal paid because that's going to go towards equity, building their net worth. So we're going to get their net monthly payment here. So now we have that net monthly payment that's shown up here. And the more information is just pretty much similar information that we see in the summary area. Nothing crazy or surprising up here that you should see. Now, when we go into here, we have our basic purchase price, down payment, basic information. And then we have what's called net monthly savings. This is where you're going to see the most expensive one is zeroed, and then how much they're going to save based on the other options. So in this case, these three options, having a conventional loan is definitely the best options. However, that single paid financed option is going to be the best option for them. They're actually saving $239 a month on that single paid finance option. We have our freedom point, which is the term of the loan. cash to close here, and you can see cash to close is very close on these options. So that's not going to be a play when it comes into here, even if they were cash to close driven, because most clients are either driven based on how much they have to pay per month or how much cash to close they need. This is not a big enough difference where it's going to drive them to this decision because it's a less cash to close. They're still going to choose this option. More information, we have our basic payment breakdown. Here, I'm just going to highlight that mortgage insurance because that's going to be that big difference. Cost, closing cost. Again, I'm going to highlight what's going to be the big difference. That is going to be paying $6,000 for upfront MI or investing it in the down payment and building equity. If you want to see the itemization, it's right here. Tax benefit analysis. Again, tax benefit. The benefit here is our standard deduction. Because our standard deduction is at $12,000, they will still see a benefit if they were to purchase the home. Let's go back and adjust this as if this was a couple buying it. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to adjust it here. $2,400, couple filing jointly. And I want you to see how it's going to change the presentation. Because you need to understand how to be able to explain this. Tax benefit is now the same on all products. Now, does it mean that there's really not a tax benefit? Absolutely not. But what it means is, based on the interest of the home alone, there is no tax benefit. In order for them to have a tax benefit for purchasing, they would need to have other write-offs. So this is a great opportunity for you as the lender to be able to jump in and build a relationship now with a financial advisor or the tax accountant. So the conversation, if you're showing this to the client, first off, I would not show tax benefit analysis here. I would show, and we're going to go down and change it. Let me find it. Actually, it's the analysis area. I am going to show rent versus principal paid because I don't want it so much in their face, but I still want to be able to talk to it. So now when I come in here, this will adjust based on my internet speed. Maybe. I'm just going to advance forward one more, make sure that we did change it over. Yeah. So it will adjust. I'm in a convention hall, so it's a little slow here. So here's my conversation with my client. As you can see, based on the fact that you file jointly together, there is no real tax benefits because the price of the home is not enough that you have enough interest accumulated to have that tax benefit that's greater than your standard deduction of $24,000. However, I don't know your full tax information, and I'm not a tax expert. So is it okay if we have a three-way conversation with your financial advisor or your tax accountant in order for us to see the real impact it's going to have for you and your family when you purchase this home? Great thing is you are now going to be able to come in. I'm actually just going to click on preview again just to make sure it shows that for me. You're going to go in and you're now going to be able to be in front of that tax accountant or advisor. And when you're in front of them, they do not have software that shows anything like this. It's going to give you the opportunity to build that relationship up. I'm not going to highlight the tax benefit when I send it over to the client, but I am going to have it on here, and I am going to highlight it as I'm talking to the client, whether they're at home and I'm doing Mortgage Coach Live, or if they're in front of me, I'm going to be able to highlight that tax benefit and say, you know what, tax benefits equal on all of them, and I'm going to go through my little spill. So over here, now what you will see is I've changed it to rent versus principal paid. I'm no longer highlighting that tax benefit. Now I'm showing them this is how much money you are disposing of. This is money that you will never see back into your pocket. However, this principal paid is going back into your pocket and it's going into your net worth. So that money that's applied towards principal is actually building you equity. So you're able to drive in now and talk about the equity that's being built based on the choice that they have. And of course, I would drive them to that 5% with the financed MI option, especially since the closing cost is so close on all three options of that 5% down. That'll make sense for you guys? Any questions on the presentation or any questions on tax benefit? Cool. Looks like everyone is good. Any other questions that you might have? So I have about 10 minutes left. So if you do have questions, either raise your hand if you know you have audio or drop in a question down in the chat box. I know that we did have questions about the advice engine. I'm going to go in, I'm going to quickly find the link where you can go directly to the advice engine because I do have a link for that. And I'm going to place it down in the chat box. So if you have not been working in that advice engine, I place that link down there. Try out the new advice engine. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from it. People are liking it. They're saying it's a little easy to drive through. If you're new, I would go directly to the advice engine and work in the advice engine. Now, something really cool about the advice engine, and I just signed out, is once I put my information in here, I can click the Remember Me button. If I click the Remember Me button, what's going to happen is every time I go to the advice engine, it's going to automatically log me in. Yay, you no longer have to memorize your mortgage coach password. So, or type it in every time. So clicking that button is going to allow you to be able to be auto logged in. First time you log in, it is going to have a series of a few videos. I highly suggest taking out that 15 minutes or so, watching those videos. So one's just a welcome from Dave. We all love hearing from Dave. And then a couple are just how to drive through the presentation, setting up your settings, making sure everything is good in there. What other differences? Clients and partners are up at the top now. They are not, if you scroll down, you will not see your prospects stacked underneath. You have to go up here in order for you to drive into them. Partner area also has strategy templates that you can build in a strategy template in the partner area. So if you are always building out the same products, let's say you're always building out a 30-year fixed, a 15-year fixed, and a VA loan and an FHA loan for your area, go in and build out a strategy template that you can just copy, and then you can add the loan officer's information and the home information. So your products are already housed in there. You don't have to go back and re-add that information in. Again, clicking into, oops, I meant to click into strategy template. Clicking into strategy template allows you to edit a template or copy it to a new partner, which is how you would start the template. Same thing with the client area. If you're using the strategy templates, go in, make sure that your strategy templates are updated with your fee, unless it's a refinance scenario, and then you don't have to add fees in there. And then after you do that, you can copy them quickly to a new client and start a new client. What else? Let's go. I'm just going to go into a client. So over on the right-hand side, there's a little pencil over here. This opens up our toolbox. You can choose what is shown or what is not shown in our toolbox if you click on the toggle wheel. Simply unchecking the little boxes over here will remove them, so you can see now I have none in there. And then I want to add them based on what I want on the bottom first. So let's say I never go into that Tuesday interview, but I still want to see what's going on. I can add that to the bottom. Rate Watch might be next. Or maybe I want the calendar. I'm going to put the calendar on the bottom because I'm pretty well trained. I just want to see when there's something really important. And then I'm going to do my Tuesday interview, my Rate Watch, my notes where I can house my own notes on any file, and then my tools. On here, you can go directly into recording a video, so you don't have to go into the presentation all the way to the end to record a video anymore, or preview and highlight. Remember, anything preview and highlight that you can do in there, you can do in the record video too. If you want to turn off, every time I go through here, you see little yellow notes popping up. Let's say you've been in here, you've worked in there a while, and they're just becoming annoying. We have built in a way, if you're on the client screen, you scroll down to the bottom, you can toggle those tool tips off. So simply sliding that off so it's no longer blue. Remember, blue is turned on in Mortgage Coach, white is turned off. So having that turned off, you will not see those little notes in there anymore. You will always be getting some new videos popping up in here. If you're with an enterprise, those videos pretty soon are going to start becoming enterprise training videos that you'll see automatically loaded in there. All you do is check the little X box to turn them off so you don't see them next time, so you can go in. If you've watched something, you don't want to see it populate in there again, just turn it off. And then it won't populate in there again. Anything else I can think of? I think that's pretty much it. Settings area, everything's to the left. So nothing really huge difference in there. Help button is still there to drive you over to our help site. Missed the first half. When will I be able to view again? If you go into the advice engine, you can already go in there and start working in the new advice engine. You don't have to wait. I think that's what you're asking. So it is in the third stage of beta. So if you do find something that's not working quite right, please send over a message to us at beta@mortgagecoach.com or to our support team, either one. Support team will help take care of it too. So if you are finding something in there that's not populating right or not looking right, send us a message. Let us know so we can make sure that that issue is resolved if there's an issue that exists. Any other questions or concerns? And you may have noticed more so on the Android, if you use Mortgage Coach on your phone, there was an update as well as what it looks like on your phone. Android is the one that has the biggest adjustment because both Android went to a similar format. You're welcome, Nancy. I am so glad to hear when you guys get something out of this class, because this class really is about you guys. I want to make sure that you're learning it, that you guys are being able to reduce the TCAs or the rent versus owns, seller buy downs, the ones that you need out in the field because they're relevant during that time. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it. Have a fabulous weekend and go out and do something fun this weekend. Don't stay home. You're welcome, Karen. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Remember, send me an email, tina@mortgagecoach.com, if you want a copy of this, because I won't remember. Thank you.